Hey everyone, so glad that you guys are with us tonight. Please, as you guys are just joining, type in what market you're from and how many deals you've done. Go ahead and type that in the chat to kick things off. And then of course, tonight we've got with us John Green and Briana Barksdale. How are you two doing today?
Outstanding.
Fantastic, absolutely.
So glad to have you both with us. We've already got 100 people on, and this is so exciting. We got Ed Lane from Greensboro, 7 deals. All right, Ed, congrats on the 7 deals. We've got Dawson from Utah and Montana, okay, 2 markets. Philadelphia, 0 deals. Wilmington, North Carolina. Ed says, thank you. You're welcome. And then Miriam from San Antonio, no deals yet. So John and Briana, how many deals have you guys done grand total so far?
12.
12 deals. Fantastic. And then when did you guys do your first deal? How long ago? When?
August.
In August?
Yeah, August 2020.
What do you think made the difference that you guys went, so fast, right? I mean, 12 deals, from just starting to now it's December. Holy cow.
Okay. What are you gonna start with?
What's your background?
Well, I got 18 years of automotive dealership experience. My last, I was general manager of a couple of different dealerships, actually 3. And my last, before COVID happened, I was a general sales manager of a Jag Land Rover dealership in a pretty big city in Georgia. So I was in Atlanta, and then when all the COVID happened, I found myself without a job and without an opportunity, and the car business kind of changed. And so we did some direct sales, staffed events for about when dealership shut down, the majority of it to May. So I said, I got to find something else. And that's when Briana said, hey, why don't you try real estate? So I teed up to her because she has a real estate background.
Got it.
I'm actually a realtor in North Carolina, and when we got together, we decided to John transitioning from the car business and me transitioning to Alabama from North Carolina. I was like, why not do real estate? And so we literally hit the ground running, and we started the business in August and just hit the ground running up until now. And to the point where the plan was, when I moved to Alabama, I was going to acquire my reciprocal broker license here as well. But we hit the ground running so fast, and I just needed to spend more time on our business that I kind of put real estate as an agent here in Alabama on the back burner. I was like, what, we're doing so well here. Let's just focus here. And recently, now I'm licensed here in Alabama as well, which we'll talk about later, being an asset. But that's kind of our background, is where we come from in regards to our previous careers.
Fantastic. Okay, so John, you were actually in Atlanta doing sales, car sales, right?
I was a general sales manager of a Jag Land Rover dealership.
Yep.
So
general manager. Okay, so you weren't just doing sales, but you were actually managing people too.
Yes, sir. I was.
Got it.
So we took some of the processes that we learned, I did, from running these large dealerships, and implement it to what we're doing here. So how do we get started in wholesale? Actually, property, trying to acquire properties in wholesaling. We were actually at an event in July, and we had some friends was talking about, a couple of bigger names that actually do it right now. So we started listening to a couple of podcasts, and from that podcast, we became students of the game. So, and the one thing that was consistent, that majority of these guys, because you had a guy that started at one time and worked his way up, and then there was another couple that actually started and working their way up. And this one particular gentleman actually gave reference and documented how he actually progressed in it. And he said, drive for dollars. And then he said, DealMachine. So what we did some research on DealMachine as the lead source, because the number one thing, like I said again, was driving for dollars, and we tried to understand what they meant by driving for dollars. So we watched a couple podcasts, watched a couple YouTube videos. Actually, we spent the whole Sunday just trying to understand. And I have a notepad inside of my iPhone that we were sitting there writing notes off of during this Sunday. It was actually in Ruston, Louisiana at a staffed event. And that said was so bad. I said, hey, we got to find something else to do because, with this pandemic, a lot of things is going to change. The market is. So from that point, we actually invested in DealMachine, and we started trying to drive for dollars. So the number one thing we found then is to have a game plan. It's kind of like in any business, again, running for dealerships process. What is the process of how we're trying to grow this business? How we're trying to scale this business? Just because you see somebody on a YouTube or on Facebook stating that, hey, I've sold X amount of properties and made X amount of dollars. The number one thing to take away right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And if you can sell 3 to 4 deals plus, regardless of your market in a pandemic, what can you do when the pandemic's actually passed? What are you going to do when the new administration actually takes a hold and the changes are being made and people that have gotten the forbearance from the house are looking to get out of it? So we tried to become student of and learn this market because we're actually in a really good market. And Huntsville has not really taken a step back. There are a number of wholesalers in here, and there are a lot of people that taking the basics for what they may learn on social media and on YouTube. But the one thing you got to do, find out what works best for your business. How are you trying to grow your business? And we took it from driving for dollars, finding that first month a few deals, and we didn't want to confuse good fortune with good processes. Good fortune is, hey, we found the first couple of deals, and the very first we actually found a investor on a drive for dollars that he had a number of the properties. We contacted an investor and he said, hey, I got 19 other deals that I can sell you. Well, you gotta be careful with that. Man, I tell you, he took us to school. He took us to school on that one. So what I mean by that is we got up with the guy and he wouldn't sign a contract with us on any properties at first. And we would call the guy and then he let us go look at the properties and they were occupied properties. And finally we got him signed up on a property and we actually got one sold. The next one he got inked up on a property. He took it, put it on Zillow, had an open house on the property, had him contracted on, got a contract on the property we did, and he turned around and sold the property for $1,000 greater than we had. So, hey, that was probably, again, that's part of the brand new chalk it up to we call tuition.
Yeah.
Understanding that not every deal is going to be what you read or listen to on YouTube or what's going to learn on Facebook. It's understanding your market and not just because you find one guy that has 19 properties, it's not all going to go down like a Disney movie. It's going to take a lot of work.
Right.
Again, our first deal was a $3,000 deal. The second deal was $7,000. We was riding around and drive for dollars. We found an actual for sale by owner sign, and the house was a dilapidated house. When I said distressed property, man, it's probably one of the worst houses I've ever seen. It was on the backside of a neighborhood in Huntsville. We called the number, got him the next day, and actually signed a contract that day with us. And I remember calling an investor out to look at it. He came out and laughed at me. Again, we don't know. You're trying to understand the business because you don't know what you don't know. And when he came out there and looked at it, he said, man, I wouldn't offer you $10,000 for this property. We joined the RIA, which I suggest everybody do, join your local RIA. And we actually, during that RIA, we actually presented that property during that RIA. And we had a number of people was interested in that property that actually went by and looked at it. I said, that property was so bad, it didn't even have a front door lock. He had a actual master lock to the front door of it.
Yeah.
And it was pretty bad. So believe it or not, I actually found another buyer who's actually, this guy's bought a number of properties from. We've built a relationship with him. He came out there and called me and said, how much do you want for this house? And we actually made $8,000 on that assignment fee on that deal, just for the simple fact that people from the RIA that came out just to see the house. He said, send me the assignment on that deal right now.
Wow. So, okay. All right. So we last time we started was okay. You were doing car sales management, and then Briana, you actually had your realtor's license in North Carolina, and then you got it in Alabama, and you went to school with this guy who actually this guy took you to school.
Right.
Who had 19 properties, but he wouldn't, sign on it. You got one under contract. People laughed at you, but by joining a RIA, that exposed you to more buyers, and you ended up making an assignment fee on that property, right? Okay, good. We're caught up. How did you guys meet? Were you together before this in any way, shape, or form, or is real estate, the first thing?
No, actually, we met in North Carolina. I ran a dealership, and I was a retail operations manager of a General Motors store in Durham, North Carolina, and I actually interviewed her and hired her.
You hired her at the dealership?
I used to work for him.
Okay.
He works for me. No, I'm saying we work together. We work together now. But yeah, that's how we met.
Yeah, we met, and then we formed a good relationship about a year later, and been really close friends since then, and now we're together. So
together meaning you're dating.
A little bit more than that, yeah.
Okay, and your business partners.
Right.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we'll have people asking for advice on love and business and how those go hand in hand.
So where are we at now?
You were on the second deal.
Okay. Well, let's bring up to speed. For when we say become a student of the game, we told you about the tuition we paid from that deal. Every market's different because when you listen to YouTube University and Podcast Central, where every wholesaler tells you, "Hey, get the deal at 70% and back away from there with your assignment fee." That's a Disney movie. That's not how everything happens. And when you find a distressed property, what truly is a distressed property? Just because you find the roof falling off of it or the paint is not where it should be, that's not always the case. A distressed property could be an owner has a for sale by owner sign that can't sell the property. All it takes for you to go knock on the door or make the phone call and say, "Hey," and he said, "Hey, I don't want to work with a realtor. I want to sell my house." Mm-hmm. So the unique thing about our market is, and actually, it's a great story here. We actually dropped some mail. And we was on a drive for dollar out in a rural area right outside Huntsville called Hazel Green. And we dropped some mail on a house that was on 3 acres. It was vacant. So it was doing our vacant, we had actually looked on our DealMachine. We did the vacant property search. So we went by there with this vacant absentee owner, and it was actually a guy who's trying to get out of being an investor that had 2 investment properties left here in Huntsville. We went out there on the mail. We dropped mail. He actually called us back and said, "Hey, I'm looking to speak with you because I got a property I want to sell." We went and set the appointment, went out there to it, met the guy. He's a veteran, I'm a veteran. We connected, it was great. And Briana was sitting there talking to the guy because he wanted just a little bit more than what the property is worth from a wholesale standpoint, which kind of put us out of our comfort zone. And she said, "Hey, what other properties you have outside of this one?" And she can take it from there.
Yeah, I put on my realtor hat then. It's like, what else do you have? And luckily we actually 2-for-1 special almost, because we landed that house under contract. And then like 5 minutes later from landing that one, we went down the street, looked at that property, put that one under contract. And now we had the opportunity to sell two contracts in one connection.
Yeah.
I think going back to what John was talking about, problem solving, it's just not looking at or looking for distressed properties. It's also being the problem solver. So you'll see in our Instagram, I say the problem solving investors, because technically that's our goal. It's not so much trying to find a roof that is like caving in or a house with tall grass. It's more so connecting with the seller to understand what is it that you're looking for. And if you can solve that problem for them, it opens up way more opportunity. As an example, not only getting one house under contract from that seller, we had another house under contract from that same seller. So just focusing on opening the avenue of not looking at them as a deal, but looking at them as a part of your network, essentially. So we ended up closing that deal both of the deals. I think actually we closed the second contract first, and then finished out the first house that we got under contract and built a great relationship with that seller. So
yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it's really great that you're looking at it as how can I help this person rather than that broken down roof is how I see you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because their problems may be beyond what you can even see.
You should have seen this. The other property, it was a house. It's actually a flat that he used to park his cars in his RV. So he had an RV that was covered with grass, and he hadn't been back to the property since he moved away 2 years ago. The building was completely covered, and you couldn't see it, but it was 1.5 acres of land, about 1.9 acres. So he had three acres of land and the house, and then you had the other property. So we bought that property for $20,000. We sold it for $31,000. Same thing. We posted on the RIA, went to the RIA, posted it, and the guy called the next day and made an offer. Time he saw it. So that $11,000 assignment fee, and then we ended up selling the other deal was a little bit difficult, but we had the great thing in Alabama and also Florida, for you guys, any Florida wholesalers out there, you can actually list on the MLS. You pay a small fee, very small fee. It's like $99, and you take 6 pictures of the property, and you can actually list that property on flatfee.com, and it puts the action on MLS, Redfin, Zillow, and a few other properties. But you'll have access like having to a realtor. So you don't open up just to your traditional investors. You'll have investors from out of state that may not be on social media, but also you have for regular retail buyers. If you're selling, first of all, you can sell it as is. And if you have another house, we'll talk about that one later on. But if you sell the house as is as a cash deal, then you can still sell that property and make money. You just pay a small commission to a realtor.
Got it. So you're kind of wholesaling.
That's right.
Exactly the verbiage.
Direct to the seller, and you get the deal direct from the seller, and you can list it with an agent for a low fee, get it on the MLS so every single buyer can see it. And right. What was that at flatrate.com?
Actually flatfee.com. It's available for Alabama, any Alabama wholesaler, and as well as Florida.
Oh, it's just Alabama.
Alabama and Florida.
And Florida. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Got it. There may be sites out there, guys, for your markets too that does the same thing, right? I think I've heard of a few.
Yeah, the thing is that when you acquire a property, when you're doing your drive for dollars, you actually get somebody on a contract, what is your exit strategy? And you know, again, the dream is every deal you can come in, you have somebody that they'll do their own research and they'll agree to the 70% in you know, or whatever you negotiate. That's the dream. Not all deals are that way. And I know we hear on the podcast and on the YouTube, they say, hey, every deal is a 70%, work from there. That's not actually reality. You know, every deal is different. And then the market changes. You know, the market can change from time to time. And if your only market is, I'm gonna go to social media and Facebook and say, I need all the cash buyers lists here. Well, that gives you maybe 10%, 15% exposure.
Yeah.
How can you get further exposure than just listen on and asking anybody on social media that give you a limited pool of buyers?
Mm-hmm. And also, just to add to that, a lot of times you'll find that when you see those posts about buyers lists, it's generally wholesalers adding wholesalers commenting their emails. So it's very important that you stay clear of that, because unless you're wanting to do joint venture deals, but it's very important that you really try to build your buyers list different ways and different avenues. And I think that's something that John and I, over this short period of time of only doing 10 deals, have transformed from trying to get buyers on a buyers list to looking at other ways of advertising and expanding not only to this market, but out-of-state investors.
Got it. Yep. Totally get that. A lot of those lists do have a lot of other wholesalers' emails. They may not be the ones that you want because they're not going to buy your house probably.
Your net worth is your network. So it's the RIAs, it's the DealMachines. Because one of the very first webinars we attended was when Christina Aguilera came out and gave her speech.
Oh, great. It's so good to have you back.
Yeah, we listened to that one. I said, "Oh man, she was dropping some nuggets."
Yeah.
So listen to what she said in her market, and understanding how to scale your business. And then I actually followed her on another a board on social media, and she said, "If I had to do nothing else right now, all I would do was drive for dollars." So again, when you come into this business, the worst thing you can do is sit there and cave into the marketing that you may listen to on a podcast and say, "Oh, such and such a lead source." Well, if you're going to do that, you're going to buy that lead from this person here is getting it, and that person's getting it, and that person's getting it. The only thing different is if you're going out and you get in your car and you're out there trying to find 100 to 150, 250 properties yourself, then you know that you're controlling your marketing and you're keeping your business that you're trying to start down. You're keeping your expenses down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. The size of the list you need to market to is much smaller if you're driving for dollars and building that list yourself. All right. We've got Madison. We've had a lot of questions in the chat. Great introduction. I learned a lot about you already, and love how you guys smile whenever I talk about, "Oh, are you together?" That's it. Madison, can you hear us? There you go. It went off mute. Oh shoot. Well, maybe Hannah can read your question while you're working on the microphone.
Yeah, Madison's question was, do you guys find that you butt heads more as business partners and in a relationship, or do you find your relationship grew stronger because you started as business partners?
Yeah, so funny story. That would take a whole nother webinar. But to answer Madison's question, I think communication is at the front forefront of anything, whether it's a partnership, a relationship, a friendship. You have to be able to communicate. And not every day I agree with things that John says and vice versa. So communicating, writing it down, planning it out, I think overall we work really well together. I think just John coming already from a business background, to me, that's an asset. And me having the experience as a realtor, it just goes hand in hand. And I think we work well together. I mean, you can chime in.
Yeah, I think that she sees something in the deal. And like when we go look at a house, we see who builds the best rapport with the seller, and the other person goes around and take pictures of the home. So if, like with the case in point with that deal down in Hazel Green, she picked up a great rapport with the guy. After I talked to him, I'm the one that called the guy and talked to him, and got to set the appointment, made him down there, made the veteran connection. And from there, she's like, boom, I got it. So from that point, I was walking around looking at the property, and she was, connected with him, trying to find A, where we can sign the guy at, and B, if there's additional properties we can get. And once she said, hey, we got another property, let's send this guy a contract. It just meshed well. Because again, it's understanding how we work well together. First of all, understanding our great relationship as partners in life and as partners in business. It makes it really easy. It's smooth, easy transition for us.
Communication's been really helpful for DealMachine too, and I'm not dating anyone at DealMachine. Madison, did you ever get your microphone working? Oh, that's all right. I'm so glad you got to join us on the video. Was there any other question that she had, Hannah, or was that the only one? Great.
That I saw.
Great question. Thanks, Madison. Awesome. And now we have somebody coming up next. It looks like April Williams. April, can you hear us?
Sorry about that. I was having some technical difficulties.
Hey, that's all right. Glad you're here with us.
No, I've just been really confused as to whether or not you can, should you drive for dollars first and then add it to your CRM and then direct mail, or should you look for properties online, add to your CRM and direct mail?
You want to take this?
We drive for dollars first.
Yeah.
Once you can't put anything to your CRM until you actually activate that lead in your DealMachine. So when you add the drawing for dollars and you actually add that property, then you can actually put the notes inside your CRM of what you're doing. You take the picture of the property, and then you can actually build your list. And how we build our list is we try to mail out, we try to compose all our leads for a week, and every Monday we reconcile, and then we label it. So if, for example, this week is December 2nd week, so we'll label it just
whatever
that Monday's date is, we'll actually label it. So if we have 500 or 600 or 700 leads, depends on our driver and our teams that week, how many leads they actually compose, then we'll reconcile that list, we'll label it, and then we put all our notes inside there. Once you have those actual leads in there, you can drop mail from there. And it kind of helps when you actually drop mail, because you know exactly what that property looks like. You can recall that property. And that's why the photos are always important. Sometimes you can't, and that's why the actual, the street view, when you can actually use that picture. Let's say if you have some properties that are either on a highway or not easy accessible, there's a whole bunch of cars or clutter in front of it that really won't give a good picture, because you want to do that mail piece. There's actually have that picture of that house. That's when we use the street view on. And then also designing your mailer, since we talked about mail pieces.
That's John's favorite part. He does a great job at that.
I'm an old car guy, so that's what you do. So designing the mailer, so we did is, instead of just doing a 3-drop, we did 4. And it's looked at the end of the year, because you can drop mail based on your own temperament, 14 days, 21 days, 28 days, however you want to design. We did 30 days. And then we finished the 4th piece, because we're trying to get that one more touch before the end of the year, because we say, hey, there's a change in administration. And if they leave from where we were at the current administration to the next, there might be some investors that may be motivated to sell their home because they may lose a tax break. So getting that final touch, and if they see us that many times touching them, and they say, hey, these guys have sent me a lot of mail. And then you'll have some that return the sender, but they probably got your first 2 or 3 mail pieces. That means they still have it. It's being consistent with the mail, and again, giving them a different view. Don't the same piece of mail every time it goes out. Change it up, change the verbiage, what you're saying, and that way they'll have a different look and different view of your company.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yep, that's a great tip. Change the mail every time it goes out. You could do that manually, or you could use the campaigns feature to pre-program that into your system.
We use the campaign instead of doing an individual piece, because when we first started, we would drop a piece of mail immediately right then. We changed it up where we said, okay, we're going to drop a campaign. And design the campaign based on when Elise drops some nuggets one time and say, hey, this is how you should do it. Oh, man, this is great. Because we had a little call with her and say, hey, if you're going to do mail, use the block. When she did that, I said, okay, she's dropping some knowledge here. Let me utilize what she's saying. And I just took it from there, and I went down and looked at every one of the mailers, and I changed up each one of them during that campaign. Again, the campaign, I think, is the strongest one, because you drop in 5, 6, 7, 1,800, 1,500, whatever your choice of mail is just giving that different, being consistent for 1, and 2, being able to touch the people repeatedly.
Absolutely. Elise and everyone loves that blocks. That's like a specific type of template inside of DealMachine, if you guys are wondering about that.
And John's postcards look good. So
thank you.
April, do you have any more questions?
I do have one more. I just don't want to hog up all the time, but I know we're kind of on a time constraint, but I was just kind of curious, John, are there like any huge red flags for you that when you walk through a property that you would actually probably turn around and leave?
That's a great question. Considering we looked at a house that was completely dilapidated, more so chemistry with the buyer than the actual seller than anything else. But another thing, since you're talking about that, if you have an appointment, go to every single appointment.
Every single one.
So, because the majority of all your buyers, all your sellers are going to ask for ridiculous price for their homes until you actually walk the property. And we had a guy that his house price worth 30 grand, had dogs everywhere, ate up half the furniture and everything else, and even some of the doors. But just go out there. He said he wanted 150,000 for the house, and probably house probably worth 35,000. And he knew it. He said, I just threw that number out there because I didn't think you guys were actually serious to go and buy my property. But there really no red flags, because some of the stuff you walk into, you don't know till you actually go. But it really, majority of the red flags come from your seller and them being receptive of you being an investor, and how you represent yourself as an investor, and being totally transparent as an investor. What are you looking to do with the home, with the seller? Because the worst thing you do with a seller is not tell them what you're doing and what your plans are for the property. Because if once you put them on the contract, if you don't tell them you have rights to market the property, then that's automatically going to have that confusion, and they're going to be resentful for you, and going to think that you're trying to dupe them. Communication. So the only red flag you'll have, because you're trying to look for distressed properties, the only red flag you'll have, basically for me, would be a seller, not being transparent with the seller, a non-receptive seller.
One thing I was referring to, because I've heard some real horror stories about, people trying to get deals, and sometimes you might come across a deal where the history on a house, there may have been, a meth lab inside the house or something like that, I went and did some research on that and found out that commonly, if you go through a house that smells like ammonia, which can also come from having a lot of cats too in the house. So you really can't tell sometimes. So I was just wondering, have you ever been in a situation where you walked through a property and just something just really popped out to you that maybe to somebody who's a newbie that's just starting out probably wouldn't really pick up on until they've, had some experience under their wings?
From that standpoint, before you get to it.
Yeah, I'll touch on that one only because, again, I have that experience as being a realtor. And I think this might just be an asset that we have. I'm always looking for things that could go wrong. I'm always looking for red flags, if you will, because it's important that you're transparent with the buyer, the end buyer, because eventually if they're doing their due diligence, and they're going to see it. So I think for us, it's more so just being able to when we're doing our walkthrough initially with the seller, looking for things like leaks or, hopefully it won't go to the extreme of like meth labs and stuff like that, but just overall things that that you should be transparent with the end buyer with, or just being upfront, as much as you expect or the seller expects from us as wholesalers to tell what we're doing with the property, they should also be transparent and letting you know what it is that is wrong with the property. So I think that just goes back to being able to build that communication and that relationship with both parties. But at the end of the day, it's still their responsibility as the buyer to look and see things that may or may not be. But if under contract, you're going to have that period of time that they can go and look for things that may be red flags. But I think overall, it's not really anything that would be a huge red flag as far as the house, except for liens that will come up, especially during the closing time with the title work. So just, again, communicating with the seller and saying, hey, do you have any liens? Within our business, it's a tool that we use so we can kind of see that. And then just being a realtor, you can also do your due diligence, or if you have a great relationship with your closing attorney, having them look to see, hey, is it something wrong with this house? Is it, another owner or what have you? So we run it as a business, because for us, that's exactly what it is. It's just not an individual doing wholesaling. From all aspects of a business plan, of business planning, bookkeeping, having a team, having virtual assistants calling. So wrapping up to the question that you had, the red flags is really what should be disclosed, or what you don't want to deal with, and just making that own discretion to say, yes, I'm going to do this, or no, this is not a good idea, using your intuition.
And one thing also is that when you put a deal on the contract, one of my rule of thumb is you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. if you walk out and think every deal is going to be textbook, it's not.
No.
So sometimes you're going to have to be a little bit out of your comfort zone to land a property, but you'll know within 72 hours if you have a deal or not. You really will. So from that standpoint is if you know how to market the property properly, then you'll know exactly with the reception you'll have from the people, from the end buyers looking at the property. And some deals that you may think that may not net much, either the dilapidated house or that house that we paid too much property. We had a house that she laughed at when I said we bought it, and we just put that deal in the contract today. It's probably net about $25,000. So, and then we had this other deal that
you had to put that part in.
I had to put that in.
I didn't believe in it.
And we had the deal on that dilapidated house that I was like, man, I don't know how we can get out of it. It made $8,000. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and you can't be judgmental on the property just because it may look distressed or because it looks too good and they want too much money for it. If you don't make your mind up about a deal and black yourself out before you actually walk through the deal.
The biggest takeaway from that John said is you'll know within 72 hours of you promoting or marketing that property if you have a deal. It's kind of like fishing, and we love fishing. When you throw the reel out, if you're not pulling anything back in, you might need to check your hook, check your bait to see, is this something that really I can pull some fish from, or do I need to readjust my price? Whether it's with the seller, do I need to and this is something we recently did. We have a whole cleaning team that goes to every one of our properties, and that's just that extra step. You have a cleaning team that goes through and cleans up something. That makes a huge difference, just presentation wise.
Absolutely.
It takes a property that you could have made $5,000 on to that next level of making 15, 20 grand on that deal just because you cleaned it.
That's right.
So in essence, if I were to put a property under contract, say like the seller does not disclose that it's got lead paint in it or something like that, and I don't know what I'm looking for, and I end up trying to assign this contract to a buyer, and they go in and they figure out that, hey, this doesn't look right, and they figure out that it is lead paint, which is very costly to remove or cover up. So I guess what I'm asking is, hypothetically, is it something that typically an end buyer will be able to spot right away and say, this is not a good deal because of da-da-da-da-da?
Typically on the lead-based paint, remember, you're selling the property as is. So from that standpoint, you're not selling the property to retail. The majority of the time, you're selling to wholesale. So if you're wholesaling the property, it's an as-is property, and having lead-based paint is one of the very, 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 very rare right now, unless it's a very older home. And even from that standpoint, majority of when you have if you're selling to a buyer who's going to do the flipping on it, they're going to take care of all that anyway.
Okay, that was pretty much my question.
Thanks, April. Thank you so much.
These are really good questions.
Don't you worry about those lead-based paints.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
It's as is.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
So good to have you on here. What is your question?
My question is, yes, Ade. How did you find your drivers, and how do you compensate them?
Great question. John, you can take on.
Well, I actually hired my mother and my sister. So, we actually, when Elise, again, man, she's great. We had a webinar with her, and she actually told us about, because we saw the little part on DealMachine and talked about scaling your business and actually how to hire drivers and doing the YouTube video. So we actually cut our own little thing here. And we did a small little thing on Facebook that's, if you want to join our team. We've had a few applications, but I said, before I want to do that, let me start with some people that may be interested. And I hired my mother and my sister. And what we did was I started my sister first, and we would take her around on our drives. Hey, this is what we're looking for. this is what a distressed property look at. And then also we told her what zip codes we're looking at, because you don't want to go out there and blindly shoot. We're not trying to just blindly shoot and just drive around for nothing. We want to have a game plan on what zip code, what areas we're looking at to actually look for properties. So you can utilize, they have this real cool tool inside the DealMachine now.
Yes, and I was kind of the put together person on that, so I'll elaborate there. DealMachine has a great resource, and like John was saying, until we got on the follow-up webinar, at least we didn't know of it. She was like, yeah, you can go on and basically it's a landing page where you can either use DealMachine's videos or you can create your own, and we did a combination of both. So we did the welcoming, we utilized the greeting, or we made the greeting, and then we kept the DealMachine videos as far as like what is a distressed property, how to drive for dollars, and in combination made this epic landing page. And we really haven't even promoted it. We did it like one post on Facebook, and we got about 6 drivers off of it. But we decided right now until the new year that that we're literally going to just utilize our family. But it's a great resource. And as you see here on the screen, the welcome video, it even has the verbiage at the bottom that you'll see with the landing page. It's a really great resource. I think if you're looking to grow your team and build your team, you should definitely utilize this, because even in one Facebook post that we didn't even boost or didn't even really promote, we had 6 drivers in our market that are ready and willing to drive for us. So it's a great avenue. And that's only on the enterprise plan. But if that's something you want to utilize, certainly upgrade to that, because it's an asset.
It's worth it.
Yes.
It's worth it. So from that standpoint, they have list view under DealMachine. I'm not going to talk about another vendor. I'm talking about DealMachine. They have list view that you can utilize there that can actually help you as far as trying to plan your routes, to kind of scale. Again, trying to look at what is hot in your area. Let's say you want to look for distressed properties, you want to look for vacant homes or multiple owners of the same properties. If you want to look for tax liens, those are all available. So that can actually scale your drive to exactly what you're looking for. Because vacant properties, anything that has the post office update those once a week. So a vacant property could be somebody that moved out the area, that may have a renter area. Well, it's a number of different scenarios. But if you're looking for those during your drive, then say, hey, I want to look at 3-5 in this certain zip code in Huntsville, and then I want to look for vacant properties in the area. Then that's where your route that you can take and have your drivers take. And you can say, hey, I need you to look for these amount of properties. There are so many numbers that are vacant. I need you to get them and tag them for me.
Now, to answer your question, Ade, what we do as far as compensation for our drivers, we put them on a payment plan. So a percentage of whatever deal that they find, they get a percentage of that deal, the assignment fee. Or with the newcomer, as we roll into our processes for next year, we're actually going to put people on a per diem and a hourly rate, and with the opportunity to earn commission driving in our area. But anybody can drive for you, mom and sister. Start there. Start in your network.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Ade. Really appreciate it. Ade, before you go, what is your next step, you think, in your path to, are you getting your first deal?
I'm working on it. I'm actually trying to find just the locations. I'm in New York. I'm not really trying to get into wholesaling in this area, so I'm trying to find an outside market, probably Florida.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at right now. I'm a realtor too in Keller Williams in New York. So
great.
I've been licensed for 4 years, so I'm slowly getting into wholesaling, but looking for a good market to get into.
Yeah. So what do you think are your next steps? Is there anything you have to learn, or is it just taking action now?
Just taking action and finding a driver. My sister lives in Florida, so I'm definitely going to consider her. I have a friend who lives in the area that I'm looking into. So I have a couple people that I can use as far as that.
Fantastic. Well, we would really like to have you back on the webinar as a guest. telling your success story very soon.
Next year I'll be there.
Okay. Hey, and then I know Daphne had a question, but it looks like she might have gone up to get a snack. Is there somebody else that has a question?
Yes, I'm going to bring someone else on, but quickly, a lot of people are asking about Briana, you being a realtor and wholesaling. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that and kind of like how the two work together for you?
Sure. One of the greatest things going back is being a problem solver. I think that, again, being in North Carolina, I did really great, really well there in a short period of time as a realtor. Moving here in Alabama, the market that we're in is so phenomenal and ever growing that, like I was saying earlier in the webinar, my intention was to come here initially and be a realtor, but we hit the ground running so fast with what we were doing here, building the business and wholesaling, that I stepped aside with the being a realtor here and just focused on wholesaling until I realized that I was leaving options on the table. So going back to driving for dollars, setting appointments, going to these appointments and actually connecting with the seller, it was me telling them, hey, I'm a realtor in North Carolina. And they're like, well, you know, I may be interested in listing my house here in Alabama. Well, I can do it in North Carolina, but I couldn't do it here. So I quickly went ahead and got my reciprocal license here. And so now it's, again, going back to that problem solver, if it's a wholesale deal that we connect with, trying to connect them as a wholesaler, and then they're saying, you know what, we really like you or whatever, and we want to list the house, or we want to, you know, once we sell this house, we want you to be able to help us find our new house. It's just, again, being that one-stop shop, that problem solver. And as a realtor here, it's only helped us. It's only increased not only the credibility, but the revenue opportunity for us in our business, as well as my business in real estate.
That was a great question. Little actual fact about that for realtors, if you have to put your MLS number on your postcard, there's a spot in the signature to add that. It's very small text, and you can just add your MLS number there to disclose that you're a realtor. Yes, and also every single appointment I go to, every single one, and this is just by habit, I always disclose that I'm a realtor. But also in the markets that you're in, ensure that it's not an issue for you to commingle the two. Because I know in some states it's restrictions that you can and can't do as a realtor and as a wholesaler. So before you jump out there and say, well, I'm a wholesaler, but I want to get my real estate license, make sure whichever thing or niche you want to focus on, that be okay in your state. Because the moment it's not okay in Alabama, where I can't commingle, John can handle all things wholesale, and I can just focus on continuing to build my my real estate agent career.
First of all, I'm an investor.
Yes.
I say that I'm an investor. So we don't just do strictly wholesale.
Right.
We also do buy and hold as well. So I'm an investor.
Excuse me, Mr. Investor.
Problem solver.
Right. The problem solving investor.
Well, thank you so much for providing more clarity on how to wholesale if you're a realtor. Next up, it looks like we have Noah Howland. Noah, can you hear us?
Hi there.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. Where are you calling in from?
San Francisco.
Great city. And are you real estate investing there?
I'm actually exploring other markets because it's pretty saturated here and permitting is a massive issue.
Yeah.
But I love driving for dollars as a technique. So thinking that that's, you know, no better place to start than my backyard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And what was your main question?
Actually, somebody invited me to speak, but I didn't exactly have a main question. I did have one earlier that I threw into the chat. I guess I'll just go there. I guess my main question would be, how do you guys go about determining which markets, neighborhoods, zip codes to focus on? What kind of criteria do you use? I guess put another way, do you do like you guys talked about doing some kind of playbooking beforehand. and having kind of like a game plan and a strategy, which makes a ton of sense to me. But driving for dollars is also kind of just like getting after it on the street, right? So do you do a ton of like background research before you just kind of get there, or I guess, can you walk me through that a little bit?
Absolutely. Well, the one thing we look at is we have, we talked about team, trying to form a team, and also relationships. So when you form a relationship with the people out there, when you sell wholesale properties, when you sell to an end buyer, you form a relationship with the end buyer, and that end buyer can give you information that is not on DealMachine or any other vendor that you may use. You can say, hey man, I bought houses here, here, and here in this zip code. And on this zip code, if you can find anything else there, please let me know. And also realtors, like she's a realtor. All right. A lot of investors will tell you, hey, stay away from realtors. I think that's one of the best relationships you can have is go out there and meet different realtors from different companies. When you meet those different realtors, they can tell you what the market is and what particular areas are very hot for rentals. This area has a lot of rentals that are very hot. And then you also have,
is that me? I don't know what that sound is.
It's actually our business our business phone ringing off.
So anyway, you also have from those realtors, they'll tell you exactly what their investors are looking for in that area. Whether that area has certain zip codes has a number of 3-2s that are coming available, as well as making connection with management companies. Those management companies will tell you what. When I say management companies, I say if they rent, their investors use those to rent properties, and also your as well as the grid. They'll give you a lot of pertinent information that you're not privy to that can help you during your drive.
So you guys kind of back into it in that, like, you get the criteria from the end buyer and then say, okay, cool, we're going to use this as kind of a framework for how to approach it.
Well, you understand what the hot markets are.
Yeah.
That are available right now. But
Yeah.
You don't want to just concentrate solely on that. There's a couple of zip codes that say if there's a zip code up here that's really hot, and this one here is a secondary. You look between those two markets and then try to hone in on those.
Another thing, Noah, and this is like a super token. In your area, whatever focus area you want to focus on, go to town hall meetings. Go to anything where it's about development, because they're going to tell you way ahead of time where they're going to build, what they're going to open. Anything pertinent to development is where you need to, I think, you should focus on, because it's, you know, that the market is going to be hot there. You know, the development is growing, and you would want to try to acquire houses there where you can scale up your assignment fee. So I think what John said, but also doing a little work, looking to see where the government is investing their money. So, you know, have growth that way as well.
So we actually take that one a little step further. There's 2 different development communities that are happening here. They're pretty large, that the mayor actually hyped up about. And we said, hey, you know what? There's 2 areas we need to focus on. And those 2 areas have driven our highest assignment fees by focusing on those areas, just based on saying, hey, there are potential areas they're going to build. Another thing, anywhere they're building a Publix, believe it or not, anywhere they're building a Publix, usually right behind it, there just here in Alabama, there's usually a new development being built. So they're building a Publix here in a place called Madison, right outside the city limits here. In Huntsville, they have one. And there is a massive development growing. In this surrounded area, we found a property. And again, we were able to get some pretty good assignment fees because these folks are looking to get out their house.
Nice. I like that a lot. Cool. Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, Noah. We don't have Publix here in Indianapolis.
The hype grocery stores.
Yeah.
You got to find your equivalent.
Yes, sir.
I'm bringing on Danielle Fryer, but while she's joining, I also wanted to ask Daphne's question from earlier. She said, can you tell us about your success with DealMachine and like the way that you use the app the most for your success? I know you already mentioned about the landing page, but any other ways that are like your favorite for using DealMachine?
Personally, when we're driving for dollars, I like the fact I like working smart, not hard. So for me, if it's let's say you're on a busy street and you remember the numeric of the address, but you couldn't snap a picture, you can just simply type in the address, tag the house, and you can either start on a campaign, skip trace it. It's so many different things that you can do in DealMachine. It's just really understanding what you want to do. And once you grasp that, you can kind of hone in there. But for me, I really like that feature. It seems small, but for somebody that's like, man, I really saw that house, but I don't want to go back there, busy street, simply just remembering that, putting it in there.
Tagging your properties. Like, I think the easy thing, and when you tag a property, there's more to it, because when you tag a property inside DealMachine, how do you remember it? And for us, if there is a need siding, if the roof is messed up, if there's a window AC unit, you can tag all that information. So when you drive, let's say if you add 150 properties on your drive, will you remember 150 properties you touched? Absolutely not. But what you can do is you can put the information inside there. When you hit the more info button and you go inside there and you start adding where it says notes and tags, you can put all the information you need that you can go back and recall at the end of the day, and then you can update your CRM and put your notes inside. Okay, this problem. And it also goes hand in hand when you drop a mail. So if you want to drop mail, does every piece of property you need to touch need mail? No. Not all the time. But what if you have a piece of mail you see an old dilapidated house, or actually the worst house in a new construction area that seemed like it may have some fire damage or something like that may have happened to the home? Why would you drop mail? Oh, there's got tall grass. Well, you have the notes in there, and as well as the picture, you have that information that's available to you. That's a great tool in DealMachine.
Right. Another great tool is the signal skip tracing. I remember it was one time we were driving for dollars, and it was like a house. I guess it was really hot. We wanted to talk to the owner immediately. Literally sitting there, hitting that skip trace button, being able to have accurate information to call, getting the owner on the phone, and actually setting the appointment. I thought that was completely different and a great asset to have. It's a lot of great features.
In the driving, like if you want to manage your team. Oh yeah. You want to see what routes they're going. If they're actually going where you ask them to go, and as far as zip code, you can actually look at their driving the routes, what they've done, what's their activity for week. That's one way to manage. You inspect what you expect. Mm-hmm. And if you expect certain people to add certain properties, you won't just checking off the box and, oh, okay, these are it. Wait. Let's see exactly what you're driving, and let's see exactly what you're looking at. And I also like, let's see here, lead list. I talked about that earlier, lead list, and then I actually track, and let's say if all your leads you've done, you want to actually scale it down, say, what deals have I won? You can actually look at those, and they can tell you can go back and look at some of your old deals and to your new deals. Keep your information accurate. So I like that stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much for mentioning the route tracking too. I have 4 drivers, and I know that they're telling me accurate numbers because I pay them hourly, and I make sure they add 12 per hour so I can go in and check quickly, because the app will actually track how many miles, minutes, and where exactly they drove, as well as how many properties they added. That's a big one for me. Well, it's 8 o'clock. Wow, that went fast. I can't believe it already went by. We actually will stick around and do an actual technology demo. You're certainly welcome to join us for that, and totally get as well to sign off and take that call. Looked like it might have been a deal, and I wouldn't want you to miss that. But just know that we are so thankful for your time tonight, because obviously you've got 5 more deals to close this month based on your quick accelerated record.
That's our forecast. We actually did the 6 steps to success, and we actually put our forecast we want to look for as far as our budget, how many deals we want to get, how many properties we have per driver. So.
Yeah. Well, actually, Danielle, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
We did not answer your question yet, did we?
No, it's okay. It's a quick question. I put in the chat, I actually started with someone who I was dealing with romantically. And once we started wholesaling, it became all about wholesaling. And it hurt the relationship on my end. And now we're not partners anymore or friends. So I just wanted to know, like, how do you keep a balance in between business and relationship so that the wholesaling side of it doesn't overpower the relationship part?
Kind of what we were talking about before is communication. And the great part about it is John can't live without me. So, no, but really just going back to communication and setting the boundaries and the expectations ahead of time before you go into business, because it's important, just like a regular job, when you're interviewing, well, I'll speak on my own with being a realtor. When you go out to look for a firm, they're interviewing you, you're interviewing them. So before you jump into business with someone, just making sure that you guys are going to be a great fit based on your goals, what you expect, and being able to communicate. Because if you can't communicate effectively, how can you go out to a deal and sign a contract or expect that person to go to the appointment if you can't make it? So
Right.
It's imperative for communication. And as far as balance, just find somebody that you can't live without.
You're right. You're absolutely right about that.
Well,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I agree with that, but the biggest thing is it's not just communication. It's the having that balance, work-life balance, because you can't be 100% wholesale 100% of the time. And I'm a guy that's hard to unplug, but for the sake of my relationship, my relationship with her matters more than this business, and this is just icing on the cake. So not everybody you partner with, even in outside of romantically, is good to do business with. Have that type of like-mindedness like we have together, understanding what the main thing is, it's perfect.
Right. That makes total sense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great question, Danielle. Sorry it didn't work out with your situation, but I hope that the next one, this will really help out. Well, Hannah, do you guys have any final words?
I freaking love John and Briana so much. Gosh, you guys are seriously the freaking best. Go follow them right now. Hannah put up the slide. Go follow them. This has been just like David said. I was like, oh my gosh, it's already 8. What? Like, this was amazing. So it's so good to see you.
We didn't drop all the nuggets, man.
Yeah, we didn't even drop all the nuggets. We have to do this again.
We didn't even tell them about the probate list and stuff. How we found other deals.
Oh my gosh, y'all. Like, you dropped so many nuggets. Like, nuggets has been the word of this webinar. Like, so many people are like, so many nuggets. So y'all are just amazing. And thank you so much. And yeah, don't worry, y'all. They're going to be on another webinar. They're going to be on a live. This is not the last.
They're going to drive with us too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I want to go to Huntsville.
Come to Hunts Vegas.
Hunts Vegas.
And we love our DealMachine swag. Still waiting to update the version.
Oh man, it looks good on you guys.
We don't go any appointment we usually go to.
Yeah, we
now it's getting cold. We got to get our DealMachine sweatshirt action going.
Yes. Oh, we'll make it happen.
Thank y'all so much.
Great.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We'll be in touch.
All right.
All right. So for those of you still with us, we're actually going to transition into a technology demo. And Elise, are you feeling up to leading that with me?
Would be my pleasure, David.
All righty. Why are we talking like this?
I'm just gonna, we're a fun group here at DealMachine. By the way, thanks everyone for being on this. Y'all have been so much fun to talk to in the chat and getting to know y'all. And somebody asked how we can connect outside of this. And David does trainings if you're just starting off.
with DealMachine, but I also do lives during the week at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please feel free to join those and ask your questions. Also join our Facebook community group. A lot of it, we're all very active on that, and we're happy to connect with you guys. And a lot of my friends now are DealMachine members from over the years.
I'll
So
put a plug in for the training for driving for dollars.
perfect. Steve, the lives are actually scheduled. I have one on Monday with Loopy G, and we're actually talking about creative financing. So 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Monday, that'll be there. John, we're in Indianapolis. Our lives on Facebook. Yes, Trevor, they're in the Facebook group, Facebook page, YouTube channel. If you're on Twitch, we're on Twitch. And there's another one. We're everywhere. Except Instagram. Instagram is the weird one that we can't stream at the same time.
Okay. What's the first step of the demo?
Okay, so a lot of y'all have been asking about how do I just get started with DealMachine. I had one lovely lady ask, I'm on professional, what do I need to add? You don't need to add anything right now, like extra. What you need to do is fill out this dashboard right here, the 6 steps to big success. This thing is literally setting your goals. If you want to watch that lovely video right there with David and I recommend it. I know I'm biased, but this thing right here, and this is the enterprise dashboard. Now, if you're on basic professional, it's a little different, but fill this out. Set how many deals you want to do a month. How it'll tell you, calculate for you how many leads, because you entered in. David did an amazing job of figuring out if you're in a more, I know Noah talked about being in California, very competitive. So we do change from which area of how many leads we feel like you need to add to get a deal. If you are in a saturated market, you are going to have to double down on getting more deals. Here in the Midwest, David, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're pretty solid on the 300 minimum of getting of leads into the system. Yeah.
Yes. It actually says it right here, if you're ever wondering, on your own dashboard.
Oh, look at that.
Did you know that?
I did know that.
You did?
I did, because
Okay.
it's 1,500 if you're not, if you're in a more saturated for most of it.
Yeah, and it kind of scales up and down. So if you're in San Francisco, first of all, don't bother. If you're in Orange County, probably 1,500. If you're in Portland, Oregon, 1,500. That's because like a starter home there costs like $500,000. On the low end, starter home here in Indianapolis could be had for $50,000. And so that's the 300 leads needed. And if you're in Atlanta, it's probably somewhere in the middle. So you're probably at 700 leads. Hopefully that makes sense.
Jack, I would say Texas, definitely, especially DFW, you should be adding quite a bit. I would say that's another like 1,500. And I know that's really overwhelming, but you can do it. But actually, Jack, I'd recommend getting on the live on Monday, because Loopy G's actually in Houston, and I know the Dallas-Fort Worth area is very competitive. Then you see this lovely lady saying, now that you've set your goals, because you set your goals, and then that stays there. And what's great is we calculate it for you. Next is adding properties. Guys, that is the next to actually reaching out to the seller. That's the biggest holdup most people get. So it tells you like how many properties have been added just today. Holy crap. There's some really active members, which is great. So set this dashboard up, read through it. We try to make it in really bunch-sized crunches for you guys, so it's really easy to digest. And then it's going to set you up for success. So this dashboard, an easy thing to look over, don't do it. This is going to help you. It's like a mini coach for you.
Cool. Yeah, definitely check out your dashboard and complete those steps. And then once you do that, you'll actually start to see some more analytics down here that tell you like how many leads you have to add per day and how far you are currently towards that goal. So very helpful.
And wait, hold on. 2 more things in the dashboard I just want to The activity button at the top right, there's 2 buttons. The little bell is your activity feed. This is going to tell you every action you do in DealMachine or any action that your drivers do. So this is huge. If you're thinking how many mail, how much, I mean, anything. Look at David added these things.
I sure did. Thanks for mentioning that. I always forget to mention that. The other thing is if you have mail scheduled to be marketed to, this calendar will tell you all the schedules of like when they're all going to repeat and how much that would cost per month. Because that could fluctuate if you've got stuff on, like 3-week repeat, might fluctuate a little bit from month to month. So this will help you budget too.
Yeah, I will say that's like been the biggest thing for me. And as you see below, it sees like mailers queued. It shows if you click on the date, it'll show you which one sent out that day. So I can look at, I do all mine 30 days because I like to budget that way. Like David said, it's a little tricky when you do the 21, but be aware of it. Oh, Gary, I see Gary's question. I just want to answer really quick. When you press stop driving as a button that says dismiss, what does that mean? It means that you didn't add any properties. So we're wondering if you want to keep that route. Maybe you want to hit it up later if you didn't find any properties. So if you just dismiss that property or that route, it will take it out. And then the map.
Here's the map. We did go over a few things.
Big thing though that I really wanted to tell Briana and John, which I think I might have told them in their success call, but y'all, we're going to be having a route planner coming out for everyone. So when I'm sorry, lie. It's not for everyone, but if you're on professional or enterprise and you have route tracking, it'll be for you. So where you'll be able to, these highlighted properties you're seeing, you can filter through, say, I want to find these properties, and then it will take you on the most precise route to get to all of those to see how distressed they are. And it works just like Google Maps. We've been testing it out and we just want to make sure that it's, squeaky clean for y'all.
Oh yeah. So the thing that you're going to see while you're actually driving your car, so this is on my computer. I'm going to make it small so it looks like you're on the mobile site, on your mobile app. You're going to see, let's go back to the map here. All right, so you're going to see properties that have the address over them. And if you see that it looks run down, that's when you want to pull out your DealMachine app and click on that property. It'll tell you that it's owner occupied, and what you'll do next is you'll add the lead to your list, because all you're looking for is this property more distressed than the rest on the street? And if it is, click add lead.
Yep, and you have 3 different ways you can add leads. You can pin mode and you can tap to add mode. I feel really bad because I feel like crosshairs mode's kind of like the ugly stepsister that I never talk about really, but it is also an option here. And tap, basically the difference is pin mode, like David did, he tapped to add the lead. If you do tap to add, I just think it's safer if you're actually driving with that purpose, because you just tap the lead and it's added. You don't have to double confirm it. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So the next step that I would do is I would add a photo of that property. So I would take a photo with my actual phone if I were in front of the property. But since I'm not, this photo from Google is going to do just fine. And then the next thing I would do is I would skip trace the owner or send mail, one of the two. So for those that don't know, skip tracing is getting their contact information. So we've got a mobile number and a landline. And then I could send mail. So this is actually my postcard template that I have set up right now. And it's going to look just like this whenever it goes to Paul and Meyer.
And just so you guys know, it goes to the owner's address, not the property's address. We default that for you.
Mm-hmm.
Karen skipped.
17 cents. And yeah, if you're on the enterprise, it's 15 cents. April, glad you like the postcards. Ooh, you already customized yours. That's great.
April, you better be posting some of those customizations in the Facebook group. I want to see them.
Me too. All right. So is there anything on the map that we didn't cover yet? The highlights. Should we cover the highlights?
Yes.
Okay. So if you want to see where all the properties are that were not recently sold, what I would do is I would use a custom filter and say they've sold over 3 years ago. Cool. Now I don't want to add any of these that are not highlighted because they recently sold. The owner probably doesn't want to sell it again right away. And so now all of my green properties are eligible for me and my drivers to go add. And that's how I use the highlight properties feature.
I think that's pretty much all I would say. This was kind of what Brianna and John were talking about with their drivers. We do have a video also of David recruiting drivers and showing how he sets that up. And also I went on a ride with one of his drivers and I asked him literally, how do you know where to drive? And he said, well, David, I mean, I knew how he knew, but David trained him well through the portal and they knew where to drive.
That's all he said?
He said that David told me, or he said, I look for the green areas that David says that's where we should go and to stay in the Indianapolis area.
Got it. Okay. So Karen says, my biggest challenge is finding distressed areas, how to use D for D to locate first. Well, here's the thing. You're not really looking for a distressed area. You're just looking for those random distressed houses. So my favorite houses to buy are 1,500 square foot ranches that were built in the 60s. So if you go anywhere on the outskirts of town that's like kind of early suburbia that was like built in the 60s, great neighborhood, fantastic. Also like by the airport, there's a lot of those kind of houses too, both here and in St. Louis, two cities I'm familiar with. So you just want to, you don't need rundown areas. You just need places where homes are like a bit older, 40 years older. And you can find the ones that haven't been updated versus the ones that have. So that would be my recommendation. Not really looking for a specific distressed area. If you go around your house, I mean, there's literally deals in everybody's backyard. You probably just haven't looked at your house through that, your neighborhood through that lens of like, oh, maybe that one neighbor has some peeling paint.
I would say that a lot of the success calls we've done too, David just hit it on nail on the head. It's done in their backyard. You find that first property, nail on the head. You find it in your backyard. So I honestly, it wasn't until I joined DealMachine that I thought of a relative who had a very distressed property that I never thought twice about until now. There are going to be people. And honestly, just like what John said, your net work is your net worth. Like your family is still, just talk about what you do. Someone's going to know someone who wants to sell their home.
All right. Steve says he had 3 people say they didn't like taking a picture of their house. And he had asked if anyone else had experience with that.
Me.
Okay. Yeah. So for that person, you say, hey, really sorry that I offended you. Didn't mean to offend you at all. And I'll definitely take you off my real estate list because I am trying to find houses that I want to buy in this neighborhood. And you can end that call. And if it's not an invasion of privacy. Google takes a picture of everyone's house. It's actually public on the internet. I could look it up right now about anyone's house. So that's not a concern. On the contrary, people who do want to sell their house and get 10 mailers from investors, they'll tell you how nice you are, how wonderful you are for being so personal, and that they know you are actually there because you added a photo of their house to that postcard. So that's the people that's the reason why we add the photos to the house.
Yep. Map wise, I think that's pretty much it. Just don't forget when you're getting in the car, first thing to do is get to this map screen, press the arrow at the top right to lock into your location and press start driving. That should just start becoming habit so that you're always on to driving for dollars and having your mind always going. Yeah. Also, if your routes are not, I know for a while they're very transparent. A lot of you have said to us, and we we heard you out where if you went and got a call or something, it would stop your route. Make sure that DealMachine has access to your location at all times. That way, if you go to a different app or you take a call, your route doesn't just stop and you lose track of where you were.
Okay, Linda says, does D for D bring up the leads? I'm in Philadelphia and I saw my neighbors' properties who aren't selling. Okay, Linda, so driving for dollars is a term that's been around for decades. It means that you go and drive around in your car looking for properties that look run down. So DealMachine, that was like way before DealMachine. We just provided technology to make that process of driving for dollars easier. So driving for dollars isn't like a feature that would give you leads. It's actually an activity that you would have to do to look for those houses, in real life that look run down. And then you would add them into DealMachine and follow up with them.
And April, are you pulling a list for the 25 leads when doing a list? I know that on our leads list, which is the next tab we're going to, it does, if you click all, it only selects that 25 shown. If you have that as a reference, just see if it, and David will show you in a minute, what if it says like select all, and it'll tell you all that are on that list.
Okay. Sorry, I was reading a couple questions. Is there anything else we have to cover on the map?
That's the meat and potatoes.
Okay.
April, depending on how many, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out the best word for this. How filtered down you put it is how refined that list is going to be. So I would ask you what you filtered it by. That would be my number one question, is what you filtered it by for that.
Okay. Now we're on the leads view. So remember all those properties that we pinned and then we press add lead? Those will now appear on your leads view. So that's what we're looking at now. So we're looking at all of the leads that we have. We can do a lot of things from here. You could click on view lead and you could view a particular lead and fully open it like this. And you can see that same view we just looked at from the map view.
Yep. And if you have our enterprise plan, I know a couple people were talking about that. You can tag team members in the notes section. If I know a lot of you want to let your driver know if like you got a call off of them or something like that, if you do some type of bonus, you can tag them and they'll get a notification saying, hey, there's a message for you.
Cool.
And then also, if you're on this webinar and you are using our free CRM, this is where you also import your leads. If you have a list already that you want to use us for organization, right where David's, well, look at that, zoomed right in on that bad boy. You can import the list.
Yeah.
I will say the leads tab is probably the big kahuna of the whole entire DealMachine system, because you can do so much on it. And I'm just plugging right here that if you need more information, go to our YouTube channel, and there is tab by tab tutorials of each one of these, because I'll tell you right now, it's just a lot to take in. But like David's doing right now, he can select any of these. He can start mailers. He can change the status, keep control of where your leads are in the pipeline. Do you need to follow up with them? Is marketing complete on them? Did someone, I'm like blank, unqualified? You can add them to lists. You can skip trace in bulk. When you pop down that more tab, you can export them. You can pause mailers. You can change the mailing option. Say you have two different type of campaigns. April, my gal here, customized her templates. Maybe she has one for absentee. Maybe she has one for owner occupied. This is how she would bulk edit to make sure that they got the right bomb template that she made.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Wow, that is a lot you can do on this screen, Elise. I didn't even realize it until you said it out loud. And what I'm doing right now is actually one of the common tasks you might want to do, if you've added a bunch of properties, you want to go back and actually start mailers to those properties. So the way you would do that is you would click this little checkbox to start selecting all the leads. And there's only 25 on this page, so there's 25 selected. But if you wanted to select all of your leads, then you'd click this thing right here. And now I've got all of my leads selected. That's whenever I can go ahead and change my mailing options and start mail to all those leads.
Yeah, and to get to how you can, I mean, and it's the same. What's great is like the map view filters for highlights looks the same as in the leads view. So say you want to, like I personally have presets, which those are also a thing that you can choose different filters and set it as a saved preset. So that way you don't have to keep going through and being like, okay, Indianapolis, absentee, sold over 5 years ago. And you can filter them down to where then you can bulk edit like this, like David just showed, and get them to the correct mailers that you want. Steve, actually, we have a post tomorrow actually on our Instagram that is this gentleman named Manny, and he actually says he does the 2 touch points. He sends a postcard first through DealMachine. He skip traces them through DealMachine and then calls them. And he actually said the last deal he closed, which was $15,700, was he called and they actually referenced his postcard and said, well, we weren't sure about you. That's why we didn't call you, but we got your postcard. But the fact that he did that double touch point, like qualified basically him to them, not the other way around. So I would definitely say the more touch points, the better.
What else should we showed them how to filter their leads and then how to select their leads and take like a bulk action. Is there anything else we should look at here?
I mean, there are a lot of things, again, you can do here, but I think that is the basic big things you should really make sure that you know how to do with this tab. Again, reference the leads tab videos, literally go through everything, but that is what you need to make sure that you become a master of, because once you do that, your systems will start coming into place, and those are what keeps the consistency going and the deals keep flowing.
Mm-hmm.
I did that on accident. I just want to say that it's not planned. Okay, driving.
This is like a little summary of the driving that you've done, and I would like to switch over to my other account because there is some data in that you'll like to see.
Well, that's okay, because actually, Francisco, you can choose more than one filter at a time. You're probably, the quick lists at the top only let you choose one, but if you go down to custom filters, you can choose as many as you want. So just so you know, we do not limit you to one filter.
All right.
Steve, David does 12, right? You do 12 leads per hour minimum?
Yeah, that's my goal for my drivers. Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a view that summarizes what all my drivers have been doing. And as you can see, here's a route that one of my drivers drove for 2 hours. They added 105 leads during that time. Wow. Wow, that's a lot of leads.
Is that Martin? Oh, yeah.
It is. That's actually too many leads. I'm kind of curious. Let's review his leads that he added real quick here. I'd like to see that.
You're seeing it live here, people, how you approve leads with your drivers.
Okay, so this house looks pretty darn good. So I'm going to ask Martin. Let's see what he says. And he'll get a little push notification, and then we can have a conversation.
Yeah, that was
105 leads, yeah, in a really short amount of time. That is slightly concerning, just because, I couldn't imagine covering, finding that many leads. So I'll see what he says and get back with you. This is like more realistic. Here we go.
Nate.
Yeah, Nate, he drove for 5 hours and then he found 51 leads. So that's pretty realistic, and that's within my range of 12 hours.
Yeah. Nate's the one that I went on the drive with. So if you check out that video, that's who that is.
Okay, great.
A young David has you have quite a range of drivers though. Like, even though there's 4 of them, like Nate is a college student.
Right.
And then you have other people that do it as their full-time gig. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Noah says, why is less better in this circumstance? Well, I don't want them to add properties that are I don't want them in areas where they can find 100 rundown homes. That means the entire area is run down. And you can see from that picture, like, that's not the case. So 50 per hour, that's just too many leads. That means he's in an area that is way too run down, or he's adding properties that don't meet my qualifications.
George, perfect. Quality over quantity.
You could hear George?
No, not your cat. The gentleman on the chat.
Okay.
But George's quality.
What should we cover next?
So this is also where that landing page is. If you are on enterprise, you can go to drivers. If you are on basic, you do get 1 driver. Professional, you get 2, and you would just need to go switch over from the routes to the drivers tab in this driving tab overall. And you can invite. So someone asked how they can invite their partner. If you have enterprise, you can definitely do it through this, or you can do it through the team tab, which we'll get to.
Be added right here. Somebody was asking that. You can invite your drivers by email.
Yep.
Just like that. And then the recruit drivers page is there too.
Yep. All right, moving on down to list engine. Oh, your trial's over, David.
Okay. Let's see. This is the wrong account again, so I'm going to go back to the demo account.
No, that's okay. The list engine is literally pulling leads.
Pretty straightforward.
Very straightforward. Again, though, we do have videos on this. David's this is the quick list I was talking about, so he can only choose 1 up there, but if he wanted to. Oh, David just zoomed in on the best part, though. Go ahead, David.
That's it. I zoomed in on it. Thought you were going to talk about it.
It's the smart list. So smart list is like thebomb.com, because anything that you filter through, this list is automatically every Monday, weekly, going to update, pull anything out that doesn't match the criteria that you put in, or bring in things that match the criteria that you have. So you don't have to worry about it. It's already just done. So whoever toggles off that thing, I don't think they understand it then, because that thing is just a no-brainer. Turn on the smart list.
The smart list is right here.
And you can sync your marketing, but I would say just make sure that you know what marketing's going out. And we do put a little like, hey, you sure you want to do this? But this is also, even if you don't have list engine, this is a great place to go if you have organic lists that you've made in the CRM. And you can manage them through here and see where they're at with their deal status and where they're at through your pipeline. And that's huge.
What else should we cover here?
I mean, that's pretty much yeah. Here's the wonderful templates. I'm really excited about April's templates. I really want to see them. But these are where I would say you should go in the order of set up your signatures first, then go to templates, and then do campaigns if you want that feature. That feature is $20 extra. And what David mentioned earlier, and so did John, and I talked to John and Briana about it in one of our calls we had, it takes a different template each time. It's not the same one on repeat. You can do that though, and highly recommend that. That's the whole reason David started this app, is because he needed follow-up and to have something automated. So you can do that even on our basic plan without campaigns. I just want everyone to know that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where you customize your template.
Sorry, I was reading some more questions. Let's go to the blocks template, which is your favorite.
It is my favorite. Look at that. It's just so clean.
Oh yeah.
We have a great story on Instagram about it too. If you want to see my personal blocks template, we put it up there. Look at that. David has a clean headshot. You can do this with your phone. Also have a video on how to take a headshot with your cell phone. I know I'm biased, but I'm telling y'all, it's so easy. You guys can do it. You don't need a professional photographer or anything. Put your dog in it. But change the colors of the template. It's an easy thing. Y'all are putting your hard-earned money towards these postcards. Customize them the way you want them to look. Something that you would literally look at and be like, oh, I would pick this up. Like, that's what I put in there is, would you pick up this postcard? You have to ask yourself that. If your answer is no, then why spend your money sending it out? Make it look good. Plus, if you have other deal machiners in your area and they're not taking the time to just change a couple colors, you're going to look just like their postcard. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah. The next thing is campaigns. So if somebody wanted to go over the campaigns feature.
Yes. So this is where you do the different templates. So David has sample 4 as his first step, sample 2 as his next step. And in that drop down, you can actually say how many days after that first step do you want to send out the second step. And you can repeat steps, but guys, if you're paying for campaigns, change it up every time. Like you paid for the feature, use it to the best of what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And cloning a campaign is super nice too. So a lot of people ask like what kind of different campaigns that you should have. Your basic ones are absentee, owner occupied, and if you want to, corporate owned. And David taught me an amazing thing of people have been asking how to get investors, how to build their buyers list. Send them a buyer's postcard. If you find a corporate owned property that was sold recently, send them a postcard. David, do you have yours? I'm sorry, we're going to kind of templates back, but David made a template that's literally like if you are a buyer in the area. Oh, there it is. Yeah. You want more properties like this? I'm an investor. Like, this is genius.
Oh, this is what it says. Yeah, here. This isn't the actual one I sent. It's on my demo, but it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. So this is another way that you can network with buyers in the area. And maybe I've actually had someone send this and actually the corporate owner wanted to sell it instead of, because they ran out of money. So you never know. Okay, and then signatures. Someone was asking, this is where you change your return address, your phone number. Someone asked, yes, you get multiple signatures on enterprise only. You do get one signature on the other ones. And if you're wondering why you would need multiple is if you're going into different markets, you have a partner, you have a team of people. Also, I use it just because I switch between my logo and my photo just to see which ones catch the attention of the buyer or seller.
Mm-hmm. You don't need to have, oh, here's your realtor disclosure area if you guys are curious about that. And then there's actually a team section where you can give people access to like the different parts of the technology that you might want them to have access to. CRM, Street Engine, List Engine.
And just for clarification with that, could you click on one of your partners by chance? Or at least just showing the partner?
Nope, I don't have any partners.
Okay, if David were to put Hannah as a partner, he could.
Oh, there you go.
He could show, he could, basically admin can do everything you can, but partner has limited access and you can control that. So I know someone asked about their partner being added on. If you don't want them to send mail, I have my boyfriend on mine. He cannot edit my templates or anything like that. I'm very, very specific about that and I don't want him touching it. So I make sure he can't do that. So this, definitely think about that as you add people onto your account.
For sure.
April said she put trying to avoid the apocalypse question mark. That would catch my attention, April. Ooh, free leads. Guys, this is your promo code. DealMachine gave you your own promo code to get free money.
That's right. You can share it on LinkedIn, Facebook, or via email, or just text it to somebody.
Put it in your Instagram bio and start doing some stories and be like, you want to try it? Get $5. Here you go. Thanks, David.
That's a great idea. So,
And then, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
This is where you change your email, password, your photo, and your personal phone number. Billing is where you can see what products you have and how much you're using of them. And we also have different add-ons as well. And you can look at your invoices if you wanted to check that out.
Great place to look at your deal credits, how many you have left.
Mm-hmm. And then the default mailing options. This is going to apply to any new deals that you add to the system. So that way you can just add them and click start mailers, and they'll have this default setting applied without you having to like go into the deal and actually look at any of those settings.
That's what I was talking about. If you don't have campaigns, you can use that as well.
Yeah, and if you need a mind jogger for like what to look for, the property tags are set up to cover pretty much everything that you'd want to look for when it comes to a house that you're trying to identify as rundown. You can also make your own custom tags if you want to keep track of something else.
Oh, I hear George.
Mm-hmm.
You have badges.
Yeah, the badges are just like
Fun.
Yeah, utilizing the app and reaching certain milestones, like adding 500 properties. And Gary, bye. Thanks for saying.
Bye. Have a good night, Gary.
Let's see here. Enter a promo code. If you could enter a promo code there, if you need to. Stop all sending is kind of like a master halt on your account, and no mail will send out when you have that toggled on. Automatically send is a feature that would automatically start mailers as soon as you add properties. Dark mode just changes what it looks like if it's a little bit easier on your eyes, relieve some stress. Enable street pick. That's actually an add-on that would like automatically fill in the Google photo for all of your leads. And badge notifications. If you don't like getting notified when you earn a badge, you can turn them off. And then this is really helpful. Open page on app start. So if you pull open your mobile app and you want to immediately see the Driving for Dollars map, you want to change this feature to the map. All right. And I think that's pretty much it. You know, Zapier is a way to integrate DealMachine with other technologies. So these are just like a few examples of how you could do that.
And of course, our help and support are always there to help you with your tech issues. We are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, sorry, I did skip over the request feature.
Okay, yeah. Well, Trey says his list says pending mailers. When do they actually send out? Trey, you'd have to bulk update their settings to start the mailers. Pending just means that you haven't started them yet.
And then it'll say with marketing after you, it will automatically change the deal status.
Mm-hmm.
What is this, David?
Well, I was showing everyone the feature suggest page. So it's a menu item request feature. And if you click that, then you can contribute to this forum by voting on features you want next and requesting any new features that are not on there. So we actually worked through this. We've checked off a few boxes. We've got a few more coming very soon. So we definitely appreciate you making DealMachine better. And then also, this is how to request support like Elise was telling you about.
Look at that, under 5 minutes. We were just talking the other day, y'all, that we've been spoiled by our DealMachine support staff because now we go to other softwares, and if they take longer than 5 minutes, we get very, very sad. because we're so used to our wonderful customer support.
Oh yeah. Cool. What are your final thoughts? I would love to see, like, what was your biggest takeaway in the chat? If you guys could type in, what was your biggest takeaway? That would be really helpful.
Yes. Trey, it should switch to with marketing once you say start mailers. You're welcome. What's your biggest takeaway, guys? John and Briana gave some, like Josh said, lots of gold nuggets. Oh my gosh, Noah, we're so excited to have you in the family. We can't wait to hear about the markets that you're going to go into, and let us know if we can help in any way.
Oh, thanks, Noah. Really appreciate that.
Jackie, didn't know that DealMachine gave leaps. Yeah, the list engines, a couple months old now. Really excited about it. Steve, so glad we do this demo after every webinar, every 2 weeks, Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our next guest is Ryan Haywood, who's also an awesome member, and you can register for that in your dashboard as well. Super excited to have him too. He's done 53 out of his 54 deals with DealMachine. Amy, we love you.
How driving for dollars and finding multiple properties. Joined today, really excited. I've been driving for dollars, old school, writing down address. No more address writing down. So
Never.
glad to convert you over to the good side.
Also, Marquis said my biggest takeaway is that it's as easy as you want it to be. Small investments lead to huge payoff.
Yes. Karen, not to look for distressed area, but distressed homes. Yes, you want the worst looking house in the best neighborhood. I love it. Karen, love you.
Also, Steve, yes, Zach is next week, December 10th. And time zone is Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. But then the week after that is Ryan Haywood, which is December 17th. So that's when that will be coming up.
And Ryan's market is Kansas City.
Nice.
Oh, Steve says the dashboard says 3 p.m. I think the dashboard converts it to your local time zone wherever you happen to be. Mine says 6 p.m. Is that accurate?
It's 7 p.m. So
Okay.
let me update.
Thank you so much, guys. Nate, thank you. Are any of you guys in Cali? Marquis is asking. Anyone in Cali?
Oh,
drop it.
Yeah. Hey, Hannah, also, when I clicked sign up, or no, why is this button says get help mastering D4D. It should be sign up for the webinar. And it's like going to his like replay. I think it should go to our Zoom sign up, right?
Yes. And yeah, I'll reach out to them.
Look forward to joining.
Well, I think it's on our end that we would need to change the link to go to our own Zoom. Or, I guess they would provide the link.
Just want to say thank you for getting our process simpler. Your advice on pins and meshes was excellent. Oh, Francisco, guys, I'm so excited. If you have closed a deal with DealMachine, reach out. I want to talk to y'all and get you on our YouTube channel. Amy, our IG handle, DLeco, happy_wholesaler, and Hannah.e.box.
Correct.
Hey, I wanted to give a shout out to Summer Cherry because Summer's been on 2 of my live trainings this week. And it's really fun whenever I see somebody 3 times. And great to hear that you're getting more comfortable with the app. And it sounds like basic versus enterprise features is one of her biggest takeaways tonight.
Love it. Oh, Summer, so excited to have you in the fam. Josh, what is 10 advice tips that you could give us that would steer and lead us the greatest wholesale success?
What are 10 tips from me?
I mean, we can piece them together, but you're
yeah, I would say so my biggest tip is there are 10 steps to wholesaling a property, and a lot of times people get really hung up worrying about step 10 before they've even done step 2, and you'll have a lot more success faster when you really focus on just the next step that's right in front of you. So that way, you know, you just have to add leads. You don't really need to know every feature of DealMachine. That's not going to make you money. What's going to make you money is actually just adding the leads that look run down. And then the next step might be sending mail. So that would be the next thing you would do. I know it's great to know all the features, but I just hate that sometimes we get so hung up because there is so much available, so much knowledge, so many features. Just want you guys to focus on that revenue generating activity. What's the cactus?
No, it counts. Hannah's got a couple of handles.
Yeah, sorry about that.
She's Hannah.e.boggs. This was great, guys.
Oh, April Williams needs a follow-up, I think. Do we have a link to send her to get her scheduled for like an account review?
I told her to reach out to support and they're gonna ping me.
Oh, you just did that, didn't you? Okay.
So we're gonna get her squared away. And David is on Eastern Standard Time. We are in Indianapolis, so we are Eastern Standard Time.
Cool. Thanks so much, everyone. It was great to be with you tonight, and we're here for you. We've got live trainings that happen almost every day, lives from Elise. The support is here, so just reach out. We'll get you hooked up with whatever you guys need. Steve, yes, I am in the Eastern Time Zone.
Awesome. Have a great night, everyone. Stay safe.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye-bye.